Helen Dalton, the member for Murray, good to have you back with us on Flow. We're speaking with you as the rain pours down in Sydney before you head back to the electorate.
Yeah, how are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. You got your snorkel there or a good umbrella?
Yes, a good umbrella at least. It's been pouring on and off all week, so very wet in Sydney at the moment.
Yeah, well, this tropical moisture's made a bit of a havoc when it came to the grain harvest, probably in your electorate as well. But when it comes to the floodplains, that's been the hot topic for some time now in state parliament. There's been another disallowance go through. The government's yet again failed to get their regulations on.
Yes, that disallowance motion passed successfully yesterday in the upper house, which was good. So I've been lobbying a lot of the MPs, the upper house MPs, all week to actually plead my case for disallowing those regulations that Melinda Pavey put up at the end of last year.
So basically the government's they've had a few cracks at this to try and regulate floodplain harvesting the way they think it should be regulated, but you've regularly opposed those regulations saying they're not going to work. Is that right?
That's right. So this is the third time that Melinda Pavey has put up regs, and she put this lot up about a couple of days after the recommendations were brought down from an upper house inquiry into floodplain harvesting. She basically disregarded the recommendations and put up a regulation which really opened the door for unsustainable take for floodplain harvesting. So Kate Thurman from the Greens put up this disallowance motion because she and a lot of us absolutely disagreed with what Melinda Pavey was doing. There is a process in New South Wales Parliament which should be that we look at those recommendations from the inquiry, and we should be able to vote on things in a normal way. Instead, Melinda Pavey put these regs up on a Friday afternoon just before Christmas and just before she was booted out of the ministerialship of or custodian of water, which was her portfolio. So it was in her dying days of being a minister, and it's very sneaky to do it on a Friday afternoon, and it just shows contempt for parliamentary process.
Now, you said you were lobbying upper house MLCs. How did you go with your Shooters, Fishers and Farmers Party colleagues on getting their support for the motion?
Yeah. No, well, that was very, very disappointing because they abstained from voting. They didn't bother to tell me what they were doing, and basically I was incredibly disappointed. I thought it was cowardly of them not to even speak to me about that. And I'm just gobsmacked that Mark Naziak, who was actually on the upper house inquiry, heard all the evidence from people that were impacted by floodplain harvesting, and actually really, in a sense, voted against it by abstaining. He did vote against that disallowance.
And if you were elected as a Shooters, Fishers and Farmers Party MP, but is this sort of a case of you're just sticking up for your electorate and its interests versus maybe concerns further upstream?
Look, I will certainly advocate strongly for my electorate, and I won't toe the party line if it's such a detriment to my electorate. I just think that, even if, regardless, I think floodplain harvesting should be regulated and should be within the law. We know that the Murray-Darling Basin is supposed to be implemented, and there is a cap on extractions, and what we're asking the government to do is actually adhere to the law. That's what I don't understand. There's the law. How about we adhere to it? And the first thing we've got to do is somehow meter that water so that there's not excessive take. And that's what we're asking the New South Wales government to do, is to adhere to the law. And they're thinking of every way that they can get out of this and dodge it. We have wanted floodplain harvesting licences and metering and monitoring of that to be sorted out for the last 20 years. And the governments, it's been a Labor government earlier on and now the coalition, have been given hundreds of millions of dollars over 20 years to do that work, and it has not been done. So I wonder where that money's gone, and I think it's high time that we stop kicking the can down the road.
Well, with this issue of regulating the practice of floodplain harvesting, it seems like you're on the same page with almost everyone that it needs to be regulated. But was there any olive branch offered during this disallowance debate from the government in terms of how you could move forward after 3 times their regulation's been disallowed?
Look, the only thing that I can say is Kevin Anderson, the new water minister, came into my office and said he's willing to talk. But talk's cheap. You know, like I'm really wanting to get down to talking about the big issues. And if he does want to resolve it, I'm very happy to sit around the table and talk about what needs to be done. We do have those recommendations from the Upper House inquiry. We've spent a lot of time and money, the government has, on getting those recommendations out. And I can't for the life of me understand why they wouldn't be looking at those recommendations and moving forward with that, because that Upper House inquiry, they were from all parties, independents, One Nation, Coalition, sitting around the table, listening to the stories of people that are impacted by floodplain harvesting, and yet SFF decided to abstain from that vote. So let's get together. I'm happy to get together with Kevin Anderson, but I want real change and I want real action. And it's time that they took the bit in the teeth and sorted this out for every reason. Farmers, irrigators need to know what the rules are. Most people want to abide by and be within the law, but this New South Wales government is blurring everything to do with floodplain harvesting.
It seems peculiar that you've got, recently there was a debate, I think it was about rehoming pets. There was a private member's bill about forcing councils to advertise and try and find somewhere for them. The Parliament worked together to get an outcome and pass a bill there. It seems odd the government's digging in on this one, but we can so easily pass with cross-party support something about rehoming animals.
Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? But I know floodplain harvesting is a complex issue. Water is very complex. But I think there is a pathway, and I think that getting people to sit around the table, we can sort it out. Yep, we may not get everything that we want, but I believe that we're just as important in the southern connected system as they are in the north. We deserve our fair share, and it should be really equitable. The law should be across the state, not just for not just for us in the south. We abide by the law. We are metered. Our water is metered. We're metered within an inch of our lives, and so it should be for the northern irrigators as well. That's what we're asking for. Just the same rules applying in the south as the north. Now, as far as floodplain harvesting is concerned, the licensing has been delayed right across the state. I would like it all sorted out across the state so that we all come under the one law, really. And that's what we're asking for. It's just for a fair deal.
Well, Helen, thanks very much for that, and good to catch up with you. Safe travels back to the electorate, and we'll talk again soon.
Thanks so much, Ricky.